Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out episode 5 of the Anywhere podcast today. I've got Coach John Beam. You might have seen him from Netflix's Last Chance U season 5. John, he's been the 2018 CCCA Coach of the Year. He also won a state championship with Laney College, and we're really excited to kind of talk with him today and see what he's been up to.
What's up, big man? How are you?
Let's
get this going right. Hold on now. You got to do this right. Here we go. Right. 2 claps. Ready? There you go. Now we can get started. Let's make it happen, brother.
All right, perfect. So, John, I know most people obviously who have been, into sports and TV, they've seen Last Chance U, but could you kind of just tell us how that kind of got started and who reached out to who?
You know what? It's just everybody asked that thing. It's kind of been a long question answer, but I'm flying for my birthday to Colorado to do some skiing with my family and cousins and things. I look at an email. There's a guy that sends me an email, says, "Hey, are you interested in Last Chance U? Have you heard of it? Are you interested? We'd love to talk to you." And I'm like, all right. I kind of look at my family. My family's like, oh, man. My wife's like, nah, you can't even do that. My oldest daughter's like, Daddy, you can't do it. My youngest daughter, Daddy, you got to do it,
Yeah.
So I reach out to the phone number guy named Lucas Smith. He's one of the producers. And, of course, it's a bad number. It don't work. Something, I got pranked. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, let me just send an email back. Hey, the number doesn't work. He goes, oh, I apologize. And so we just started a conversation. That was right. Excuse me. Right after we had won the state championship, before we were declared number 1 team in the country. But at the same time, C.J. Anderson, one of my former players, was killing it with the Rams, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if that's what got him on my radar. They've seen C.J. in L.A., or winning the state championship, or what, But they reached out. I started asking my staff and, everybody, what do you want to do about it? And we said, let's just investigate and see what it entails, right? Okay. So we started a courtship, basically. They asked me questions. I asked them questions. And they were looking for other people. I think one of the things they wanted to do was make sure that they wanted to make sure that they wanted to come to California is one of the things, right? They've been in Mississippi. They've been in Kansas. So they wanted to come to California. And I think they also wanted to do somebody that coach that had been there for a while, right? I've been 40 years in one place, one city, right? 22 at the high school, 17 at the JC. And I think they wanted an urban setting. You can't get much more urban than Oakland, right? So it kind of checked all the boxes for them to try something different.
Okay. Now, one thing I kind of noticed that was really interesting in regards to your season versus some of the previous seasons, right? It wasn't really like a last chance sort of thing. I mean, this was a successful football program, and these guys are at least most of them, are planning on going somewhere after that. So did you have to fight with them a little bit on that, or?
Well, we told them, right, this is not last chance. This is the best chance, first chance, right?
Right.
And we wanted to make sure they understood that, right? Because, again, we don't live on bounce back kids, right? We might get one every couple of years. We don't get a ton of bounce back kids. And if we do bounce back, they're coming back from a D2 or NAI because they thought they knew they were better, right? Okay. Like we had a kid that went to a 1AA, and he had only played 1 year of high school football. And then he went there and he's like, man, I'm pretty good. So he came back to JC and ended up going to Memphis, which at the time was a power of the other 5, right? Moving up. So I think those are more the idea, right, that you're coming here to, for your best chance of doing something good for yourself, not your last chance.
Yeah, and that's really cool. As far as COVID-19 and everything, obviously California got hit pretty hard. Or did you guys just suspend operations completely for this fall, or?
Yeah, we postponed the season to the spring.
Okay.
So we started in probably September. Started conditioning 2 days a week, right? No, all outdoor, small pods of 10 or under, a lot of running, core, push-ups. We bought resistance bands for everybody. We went through that phase, and then we were, where we're at, Alameda County was starting to get better. So we started bringing out a football, just only in your pod though, right? So you could throw within a pod. Mm-hmm. And then now we're on the other end, right? Now we're California's blowing up right now. So, there's a lot of things going on right now.
Okay. I know as far as like NCAA, they were giving like those kids the eligibility back. Are they doing the same with you guys?
Yeah, we just passed that this not about maybe a month and a half ago. That so for our kids, they can play now, and it won't count against them as a 3C eligibility, 3C2 eligibility.
Okay.
Now, we don't know what the NCAA is going to say, right? NAIA said they had no problem with it, but how will Division I take it, right? But to be honest, we're at a crossroad. We may not even play in the spring, right?
Okay.
So we already went from a reduced schedule of 10 games to 7. Now we're looking at 5.
Oof.
And if you look at what's going on around the country with all the different games being canceled, if a Power 5 team can't keep their kids safe with all the money they have, how is a community college supposed to keep our players safe with the money that we have, which is not very much when you look at it? And we can't control the environment, right? My kids, like you saw on the show, they go home or sleep in a car, right? They're traveling. And I have to be, as the athletic director and the head football coach, I need to be cognizant of who they go home to, right? I don't want them to go home. A young guy's going to be asymptomatic most likely if they get COVID, right? So they're going to feel fine. They're going to go home, but they live with their granny, their grandpa, and their auntie. Do you want to go take that home? Many live in multi-generational houses, right? So you got, 3 or 4 generations living there. And do you want to take COVID home to those that could be more at risk, right? And so I have to be cognizant of that, right? If I can't keep them safe, everybody safe, I got a bigger, group of folks I'm looking at, and so I need to be real cognizant of how to make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I know there was, a lot of coaches who were saying the first part of what you said, which was, my kids themselves are probably going to be fine. And then they say, okay, well, let's just play football. Let's play the full season. There was so much, especially I live in Minnesota. So, it's bring Big Ten back. But obviously it's just, so much crazy stuff going on right now. So,
but in the Big Ten, they live in a dorm, maybe an athletic dorm, because school's pretty much closed, right? So they can isolate them. They can put one per room, right? And they have medical staff, right? You remember, most of our kids go home, they're from marginalized communities, right? They don't have health insurance or very little health insurance. And so you're going to be going home to someone, that doesn't have the health insurance to get multiple tests, right? Or even they might already have pre-existing conditions with hypertension, right? Diabetes, all those things that could add up, congested heart failure, right? So those are not good things to go home to, right? So, we have to be cognizant of that. That's our job, as coaches, right? We're here to protect our players, and that means their families as well.
Yeah. Before I do any interview, I try to become the expert on the coach or the person that so I was reading through your bio, everything on the college, and I really liked you said, they're students first, they're athletes second. You talk about how kind of that mentality has shaped how you go about doing things in regards to, other stuff besides just COVID-19.
So, I've been coaching 40 years, right? I finished 40 years of coaching, right? But 38 of us been in the city of Oakland. And the bulk of the athletes that I coach are Black and brown, right? Well, they're usually first generation, right? And so what I try to explain to them is that football has a shelf life, right? It's a finite period of time. Marvell Smith, one of the best players I've ever coached, had a great NFL career with the Steelers. But even as a great NFL career, it was a 10-year career. What do you do at 32, right? And so you have to be prepared for that, right? And, you have to have not only, when I first got to high school, my goal was to have everybody graduate high school, right? Because in Oakland, there's like a 50% dropout rate, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, that don't make sense, right? So let's graduate. And then it was, when I got to Laney was, okay, your goal is not to be a great JC football player, right? Your goal is to move on. Well, to move on, you need a degree. You have to get an A degree. Well, okay, you get that. All right. So then why not go ahead? You got 2 years of academic done. Let's go ahead and get this last 2 years and get a degree. I mean, put it in increments that young men can understand, right? And at the same time, you can still pursue your goal of playing in the NFL or whatever it is. And then, here's the other piece, right? There is so much more scholarships out there for academic than there are athletic. And so build a package of academic achievement to help supplement your athletic achievement. And so I think those are the things I just kind of push all the time, right? You're going to be in class, most athletes, right? I mean, they're competitive, right? They want to be number one. So, but you're okay going to class and be number 27?
Right.
Right? Come on, dude, you going to let that dude over there have better grades than you? man, you better step up, brother. You know what I mean? So you change the mentality like, hey, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to compete. I'm not just trying to get by, right? And so I think you just start instilling that into them, right? And let them know what can happen, right? What's out there, what jobs or careers, not jobs, but careers are out there. And I think it's important for them to all understand that.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially, so I'm from Minneapolis, kind of like South Minneapolis, which is more of an urban setting, and there's like, I graduated college, right? But I'm, not the only one, but certainly like there's not a whole lot of us who do. I mean, no matter where you go, right? Black men and brown men, that graduation, that rate is super low. So being able to, I guess, make sure that they know that that's more important, is something that can help kind of get them to pursue the football even harder, right? Because they know that something else is even more important than that. So that was something that I really admired, I guess, about watching you. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was in the show, there was a lot of kind of that old school versus new school kind of mentality and that dichotomy. How much of that was kind of manufactured by the show, and then how much of that was really kind of this new generation and you trying to see if you needed to change how you coached?
Well, I think as coaches, right, we constantly have to evolve, right? My offense that I ran now, when I won the state championship, when I was a high school, has really evolved, right? So you constantly are changing, but at the same time, you have to stick to your core values, right? The delivery needs to change sometimes, right? But I think, for me, that's why you build a staff of younger folks as well, right? So we can reach a person, here's this young man, he's having difficulties, and I tell him my way, and then he hears it from another coach that's younger, tells him his way. It's the same message. It's just delivered differently, right? And I think, though, that's important. I think you still need old school. When I say old school, it's just really is accountability, right? People call that old school. Well, I call that's what you had to do to be successful,
right.
You and I set up this podcast, right? You said 9:30. Okay. If you didn't show up, I'm gone, right? If I didn't show up, you're, we're not wasting each other's time. So that's one of the things I think we got to hold true to. But it's the delivery, right? It's the delivery of how it's said, or, like we used to run them to death, right? Like, all right, you want to mess up in class? I mean, back in high school, I come get your ass, literally pick your ass up and drag you out of class and put you up, like, hey, all right, you want to be a clown? All right, let's clown right now, right? So, you got to change it up, a little bit,
Well, that's good that you're not making them run. I mean, California, I know I haven't been there, but I know how hot it gets, especially out there in Oakland, the Bay.
Nah, it doesn't. We're actually pretty mild because of
really?
the Bay. But yeah, you could run them. You could, make them do bear crawls and rolls. Okay, yeah, it does. So this year we did that, but we also made them get up at 8 a.m. and feed the homeless, right?
Oh, wow.
So that's important, right? Because now there's a life lesson to it. Let's see if we can turn a negative into a positive. Let's make it a win-win. Let's make it an educational moment, right? And then what I made them do afterwards was, and I still ran them, right? But after the feeding the homeless, I made them write a reflection paper. All right. So what was it like? How did you feel doing that, right? And so it was good, right? It was good for them to what they wrote and said and what they saw and how it changed. Hopefully it was transformative to them, right? Yeah. And so you turn this punishment, so to speak, into a life lesson, right? But I still got my pound of flesh and ran them. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Okay. So that's the old and the new.
Okay. I gotcha. As far as coaching, being, a coach for 40 years in this area, what made you decide I'm going to stay in Oakland specifically and not branch out? Because I know you have plenty of other opportunities.
Why would I leave? It's kind of a funny thing, right? What's the greener pasture? Everybody said, oh, the other pasture is better, right? Well, my pasture is just fine. You know what I mean? I think that for a lot of us, right, when you're a young coach, you want to validate yourself as a coach and you move on, move up, right? But is it? I mean, there's coaches that are coaching Division I or NFL. I don't think they're very good coaches. I think there's some of their high school coaches or Pop Warner coaches are just phenomenal coaches, right? But because of their life circumstances, right? But what I think it is this, right? What did you get into coaching and teaching for? Remember, I'm a teacher first, right? Mm-hmm. And that is to, for me, to be a good teacher, effective teacher, or effective coach, you got to be a part of the community. I live here in Oakland, right? This is my community. So what better way to affect change in your community, but to stay in it long term? Yeah. And let's go back again to Oakland, right? Marginalized, disadvantaged background. How many people leave their lives all the time, right? Come and go, right? Many of the young men I've coached don't have a father active in their life. Well, I'm not going to be that guy to leave. I stayed. They always know where I'm at, right? So if I'm going to be a part of their lives, I need to be here. So I think those are all the reasons why I stayed. And I had offers, and a lot of times they weren't paying more money than I was making right now, and then I got a Power 5 offer. That was going to pay real big money, and it just didn't work out, right? It didn't work out when I found out that I wasn't in charge, right? The head coach was like, he said, I'm going to let you know in 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks came. He didn't let us know. So I'm going to give me 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks came. He didn't let us know. Wow. I realized, wait a minute. This man controls my life. I'm sitting there waiting for a call instead of like, you know what? I don't need that. I said, look, is it okay? Would it help if I withdraw? I said, yeah, I would. Let me just take my name out because I want to control my own destiny, my own time, right? For my own family.
And so having been kind of in this same environment for so long, I know you've literally been able to watch kind of boys grow up into men and give back to that. Are there any specific instances that you remember that really stand out to you?
Oh, there's so many. I can't even name them, right? But I've actually coached player. Like I have one player I coached. He got a full football scholarship to Cal. Mm-hmm. Then I coached his son. He got a full scholarship to Cal.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I've had generationals now, right, of players. And so I think those are, what you see. Or you look at, there's one, Devon Best, he was a great kid for us, never been in trouble, gets in trouble one time, gets 13 months incarcerated. I got him out. We got him to Hawaii, played 6-7 years in the NFL, right? Mm-hmm. But if he didn't make that transformation, he's a statistic, right? So I think those are always there. But even just something as simple as, a young person playing high school football or even JC football and then got his degree, being a great father. And I see his kids now or even his grandkids now, right? He's there every day. When he grew up, there was no father for him every day, but he's there every day now. That's just as great. You know what I mean? So those are the things that are so important, I think, when you go back. We talk it all the time, but it's the intrinsic rewards that you get, right? That you don't even realize that you get. And by staying in this community, you see it every day as I drive by or I drive through, The guy yesterday, I walking my granddaughter through the golf course. We do it every day. Mm-hmm. And this guy just stopped and says, Coach, because the coach didn't get he goes, I just want to tell you, man, thank you. You saved my life.
Wow.
I wouldn't be worried. And that's all he said. And I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell who he was, where I did it, but he said that. And it just meant so much, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of kind of your former players and things like that, a lot of the people that watch the podcast are athletes or former athletes, things like that. What would you say, as a coach who's been in this so long, for someone who's wanting to go, play football in college or another sport? What would you say as far as the qualities that they need to develop as a person, to be coached?
Number one is you gotta be accountable, right? You got, are you going to be dedicated? Everybody says, I want to be this guy. I'm going to be an NFL player. I'm going to be an NBA player. All right. How hard are you willing to work? And are you willing to work every day? Right. I mean, that's the key. Right. And then are you able to take criticism and take coaching? Right. Because you've got to figure out, like, I can't get you better if you don't realize you need to get better. If you already think you're as good as you're going to, you're already got it. Well, why am I here? Right. And so I think those are some important things that people need to understand, right? And that, there's a work ethic that's involved, but it's also the understanding of that. I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to see what happens, but I'm not going to cheat myself or anybody else about it. Right. And I'm saying that is like, okay, if you work out 3 days a week and you expect to play in the NFL, that ain't happening. Right. You got to really put the time in. And even if you do put all that time in, it may not still work out, but it's okay. You didn't cheat yourself, right? You gave it. The guy you don't want to be is a coulda, woulda, shoulda guy.
Right.
Right. How many have you seen of those? Right.
Oh,
if I would have did this, or if I had did that, you know, and then to be honest, there is so much luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just is. And there's just DNA, right? I mean, some people's genes were just way better. You know, like I worked my ass off. My genes didn't work going to make me an NFL player. You know what I mean? I'm an offensive lineman. I'm 6 foot tall, right? I was 225 pounds. I ain't going nowhere. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I worked my ass off. I did everything I was supposed to. But at the end of the day, that's all I could get. You know, when I tapped out, at some point there's a level. And you got to understand that.
Now, your first coaching opportunity, was that right after high school, or did you play ball in college?
I played 2 years of junior college, right? And I was all conference as a freshman, and I blew out my knee in the halfway point of my second sophomore year.
Okay.
And so I rehabbed. I thought I got an offer to go like Eastern New Mexico. And then I had to have a second knee operation in June, so I couldn't go. And so my offensive line coach at Mesa, great guy, Charlie Popa, said, hey, look, you go over here. They need an offensive line coach. High school is like a third year of existence. New head coach. You need to do something, go be his offensive line coach. So I did. I loved it. And so since I loved it and I knew I didn't want to go to New Mexico, right, and I wasn't going to play in the NFL, I might as well just start making a coaching as my profession. So that's why I did 2 years. I changed my major. I wanted to be a teacher, all those things, right?
Okay.
And so, I mean, it was just kind of easy at that point, what I wanted to do.
And do you like head coaching more than coaching specific skill positions, or is it just the niche you kind of found yourself in?
Yeah, I think I'm an alpha guy, I like to be in charge. So, I think, I mean, when you're a high school coach, in the inner city, you have to coach all the positions, right? Until, I had some really good assistants, but a lot of them, they had other jobs. So during the off season, I was the only guy they saw, but the kids saw.
Okay.
And then during the season, they worked their schedule around to be available, right? And so when I got to junior college, a lot different, right? Now all of a sudden, you got a coach for every position. I got 2 DB coaches. I got a corners coach and I got a safeties coach. I got an inside backer coach. I got an outside backer coach. I got an offensive line coach, and then I got a tackle tight end coach. I mean, I got more coaches than I know what to do with, right? And so you hire good guys, you get out of the way, you let them do what they do, and then you coach a position. I kind of coached quarterbacks for a while, but now I got a great quarterback coach. So, you kind of figure out where your niche is to help out, right? And provide it. But it's different. I wish I coached a position more every day, but I'm going to be honest. I don't know that I could do as good as a job as the other guys right now because I'm not as technology savvy as a lot of the younger coaches are. And they're doing so much with video and other things that I could only just dream about doing, to send out segments to our players, right?
Crazy. Yeah. Those iPads and stuff.
Yeah. And so, I'm still drawing it on the board, brother. You know what I mean? Like, hey. And so I think, my teaching style in person is really, really good. But what do I do out? Like I was telling you, like, hey, you got to work at your craft all the time, right? When I'm not with them, I don't have as much to send them, right, to help them develop. And I think, the newer generation has that ability. Now, if I was a position coach, I probably would have learned how to do it by now, to be better at it. But I haven't had to. So I got young position coaches to do it for me now.
There you go. Now you're also head athletic director as well.
Yes.
Did you get offered that after the head coaching position, or is it just kind of concurrently?
Well, it's kind of interesting. When I went to Laney, I was the running back coach and an offensive coordinator. And the guy who hired me had stepped down. And then they made me the athletic director, is my buddy, the DC, became the head coach. So he was the head coach and I'm the athletic director. So he was my boss on the field. And I was his boss off the field. Okay. It was a great relationship. He was such a great coach. It was easy. You know what I mean? So he pretty much did all the football stuff and I handled the rest of the department and got new facilities built and things like that,
Is it hard to balance kind of the time with your family versus the time being the coach and basically being a second dad to a lot of these guys?
It was harder when my daughters were young growing up, probably.
Hmm.
At the JC level, it's not as hard because it's just me and my wife and I. My daughters are grown now, so it's a little bit different. Yeah, I mean, shoot, I don't have to get to work to, like 12 or something. I get there at 10, to just kind of, and I don't have to be there on Fridays, but I'm there every Friday, kind of pick up some stuff, administrative things. So there's a lot more time, like I used to get home between 6 and 7, but I used to leave to go to work by 6 or 7, right? 12-hour days. Now I do home 6 or 7, but I don't leave here until 9:30, 10, right? So that extra 3 hours or so is kind of nice.
Okay. As far as, so you kind of gave a couple minutes ago your advice to players, or prospective players, going in. What's your advice to someone, especially someone maybe a kid of color, something like that, who wants to get into coaching, but doesn't really know where to start? Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, just go back to your old high school, start there. Go back to where you last played, start there. But whatever you do, start, because we need coaches, right? And then learn, right? Get knowledge, ask questions. Don't be intimidated to ask questions, right? And learn from someone besides the guy that you learned from originally, right? So you can learn. There's like, what do they say? There's, I don't know, 6 of one, half dozen the other, right? There's so many ways to skin a cat or whatever, all these different cliches, but there are. So learn from different people as well, so that you can start to shape who you are, right? What your philosophy is going to be, how you're going to teach. But what I'm just saying is that we need coaches, and so get out there and help. Young people need. Well, if you don't, because your job won't allow you to be at high school like at 3 o'clock, you got to go 5. Then go to youth sports, right? Some of my best coaches growing up were my youth sports coaches. They were phenomenal when I was growing up, and so give that expertise there. Right. But don't sit on the sidelines, man. Get out there and help, because we need it. Our young people need us.
There we go. Well, hey, John, thanks can I call you John or just Coach?
Absolutely. All right, John. Come on, baby.
All right. Well, hey, thanks so much, man. I really appreciated this. A lot of good information. And the last question I have before we wrap it up here is, where do you see the program, the future of Laney College, going?
It's going to keep rising, right? I got a good group of coaches, young coaches, right? I got a supportive administration, right? And so I think you put all that together, we got a great, vibrant community, right? And so I think it's just going to keep going, right? I mean, we're the first small school to ever win a state championship. We're the first school to ever come in as a large team to win it, right? I mean, we're a small school to compare to the other ones that win. Like you look at Ventura, the team we play, they're huge, right? We're a little, we're a little bitty school, but yet we're impactful. It's not quantity, it's quality. And so I think people need to understand that, right? So, I think it's just something that we need to just keep rocking and rolling with. And I'm fired up, I mean, I think that their future is always brighter, but that's who I am too, right? The glass is always half full for me. Does that make sense?
There you go. Hey, thanks so much, man. I really
All
appreciate
right,
it. Like
here
I said,
we got to cut this off. You ready now?
Yeah, let's do it.
2 claps. Ready?
Oh, one more time. Sorry, hang on.
Try it again. Here we go.
All right.
2 claps. Ready? Perfect.
Boom.
Hey, send me my link of this. I want to put it up on my stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I will.
Appreciate you, man. I love it. You did a great job.
Thank you so much. Hey, I'm only on episode 5, so I'm trying to get better.
Okay, just keep working at it, man. Enjoy. Stay warm out there.
I will. You too. Bye.
Take care.
Well, hey guys, that was my interview with Coach John Beam. Really cool guy. One of the best college coaches in football, period, not just for junior college. If you want to know what the Laney football team is up to, you can go ahead and check out that season 5 of Last Chance U over on Netflix. You can also go ahead and go to their website, which I'll link below, and see what's going on with them there. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe, and be on the lookout for more episodes coming up soon. Bye.